Hey, what's up? This is Leo for Actualize.org, and in this video blog what I want to talk about is the topic of strengths versus weaknesses, and specifically the question of, in personal development, in getting more success in your career, in your relationships, in your health, is it better to work on your strengths or is it better to work on your weaknesses? And the bigger question is, of course, just your overall happiness in life. Are you going to be happier if you focus on the weaknesses in your life, the things that you're not good on, or are you going to be happier by focusing on your strengths? So there's some interesting research that goes and covers both of these topics and looks at which of them is better. So the first and probably the most important research is by Martin Seligman, who's the father of the positive psychology movement now. And what he actually has on his website, authentichappiness.com, is he has a strengths assessment. And there you can go on and take the character strengths assessment, and it'll literally tell you the top strengths that you have as your personality type. So it'll tell you if your strengths are being generous or being grateful or being open-minded or being curious or being artistic, some various strengths. And then, of course, there's the common idea that we want to work on our weaknesses too, right? So a strength, for example, if a strength of yours is working with people and interacting with people, and you get a lot of joy from that and it also comes easily to you, then that's a strength. Now, a weakness of yours, for somebody else, that might be a weakness, right? Maybe you're an introverted, shy person, and therefore working with other people comes as a struggle to you. And the question then is it better to work and fix that weakness over time? Is that going to make you happier? Or is it better to focus on the strengths? There's actually a lot of compelling evidence to show that working on your strengths, not your weaknesses, is the best way to be happy. Because working on your weaknesses is pretty hard, and if you've ever tried to do this in your life, is working on a weakness, then you've known how difficult it is to do this, right? So maybe you've had trouble with fitness, maybe you've had trouble with shyness and introversion, maybe you've had trouble with other parts of your life, like character traits that you notice are deficient in you, and working on them can be very challenging because it's unnatural. It's not your natural way to be. So you have to really persevere, and you have to discipline yourself. You have to retrain your mind basically through a lot of consistent action to become better at that weakness. And oftentimes it's really hard to bring that up to the kind of level that your strengths are at. Whereas with your strengths, let's say you're someone who's really good with people and you naturally love being extroverted and talking to people and working with people and collaborating and cooperating. In that case, that's a strength of yours. And if you design your life to run in alignment with that strength, that can be a really powerful source of joy for you and just increase your overall happiness. So if you're an extroverted person and that's a strength of yours, and you're working someplace right now where you're not able to collaborate with people, you're not able to talk with people, let's say you're just working in a cubicle for 9 hours every day, well, you can see how that can become a problem because you're not really realizing and using your fullest gifts. And that's really what happiness is, a lot of happiness is about, at least the quality kind of happiness that you can get in life is by putting yourself in situations where you're using your gifts to your full potential. So if you are that extrovert person, finding a job where that extroversion is actually serving the company and it's serving your managers and it's serving the public is a good thing. It's going to make you feel really good when you put yourself in that kind of position. Or if you have some other kind of strength, maybe you're a very athletic person, and that's a strength of yours. So if putting yourself in a position where you can always be athletic, you can always be moving, somewhere where you're not sitting in front of a computer. And maybe conversely, if you're the kind of person that likes to be alone, and that likes to work by himself or herself, and likes to have a lot of quiet time, then being stuck in an office where you're constantly having to go to meetings and hobnob with people, that might irritate you. And your greatest strength might be being by yourself and having time to think things through and being more logical, being more analytical, whatever that might mean for you. And then in that case, if that's your strength, then aligning your life so that strength is accentuated is great, because it's a strength of yours, right? So it's going to come very naturally, very easily to you. And when you do that, you're going to feel good because you're going to feel like your natural talents or gifts are being used. So with personal development, from my experience, what I found is that really it's not an either or choice. It's a false choice to say that you're either going to have to work on you're going to accentuate your strengths, just focus on that, or you're going to focus on accentuating or improving your weaknesses. Really what you got to do is, if you want a stable level of happiness and also success in life, what you really want, you're going to want to work on both. But I think you're going to want to start by aligning your life with your strengths. That's the most important thing. You're going to get your biggest bang for your buck by aligning your life with your strengths. So if you go to AuthenticHappiness.com and you take that character strengths survey, it's a pretty comprehensive survey, and what it's going to give after you take that result, it's totally free. It's going to give you the result. And what you're going to get is you're going to get a list of your top 5 strengths. And what I found is if you take those top 2 strengths that you have and you start to become really aware of those strengths, you first of all consciously now take them on as your personality, because before what they were is they were strengths of yours, but you weren't conscious about them, and now you are. And what you're going to do is you're going to start to look for ways to align your life and to live those strengths on a day-to-day basis. So you could ask yourself a question like, how can I include more of these strengths in my daily routine? Or how can I do more things throughout the week that will allow me to really live into these strengths? And that might mean that you have to adjust the role that you play at work. That might mean that you have to adjust the role that you have in a relationship. That might mean all sorts of things depending on your strength. There's like over 30 or 40 different strengths on this survey. So that is going to be a great source of happiness, because right now, if you're not aligned with your top 2 strengths and you're not doing that on a daily basis, which is really important, is doing it on a daily basis, making it habitual, then you're not getting all the satisfaction that you could be out of your day-to-day. And then you're not as happy as you could be. So there's a lot of potential for growth for you there if you're not doing that already. But then once you've got those pieces in place, I feel like to really take yourself to the next level and to live a charged life, not just a comfortable life, you're not just going to want to be living in your strength. You're also going to be wanting to look outside and trying to round out your personality. Because what I found is that the more rounded you become as you grow, you basically look at your deficiencies and see that they're limiting you in certain ways, right? And in fact, I've also found that it can be the case that a deficiency or a weakness that you have is going to limit how much you can accentuate your strengths, how much you can live your strengths. So sometimes working on your weaknesses is important, especially I think when you see that those weaknesses are holding you back from living that charged kind of life. Because here's the thing, is that the comfortable life that you're living, if you're just living your strengths and you're not taking care of any of the weaknesses that you have, you're going to be limited in how far you can go in your life. And you're going to be limited with the peak experiences. You're not going to experience as much growth overall. And those weaknesses can really be holding you back. So if you have a certain weakness, don't let that limit you and keep you in a box, because that's what a lot of people do, is they're boxed in by their weaknesses, by their limitations. And even though they might have a job, for example, where they're living their strengths, the weaknesses still kind of hem them in. So maybe they're shy and reserved, and that shyness and reservedness, they just say, well, I'm a shy and reserved kind of person, and so I'm not going to try to correct that. I'm not going to work on that at all. I'm just going to focus on being very, very introverted, and I'm just going to sit and lock myself up in my room and do the work that I want to do, and I'm going to be successful that way. I think the fact of the matter is that you can be successful that way, but that's actually a bad thing, because a lot of times you can get success by being very laser focused, and that's what success is about channeling your strengths and focusing them and producing value that you can then give to the people, therefore you get value back in return. But that doesn't always lead to ultimate happiness. If you want to really work on your happiness and fulfillment in life, beyond just success, what you've got to do is you've got to look at where your weaknesses are holding you back from really being the best that you can be. So maybe that shyness that you've got is holding you back from actually going out and sharing the message that you have. I know personally for me that's been the case.